the only ones who can come in heaven. Jesus assured me after we arrived in heaven during the early hours of February 29th.
The only ones who can come here are the ones whose hearts are as pure as the water. Many people think I will never come for them, but I tell you, I am coming sooner than they think.
When he said this, the tone of his voice changed. He seemed to be almost angry, or at least I sensed a great urgency in his words. It was a warning. It was a message I had to share, and share now. The end times are truly upon us. Jesus is coming soon. He went on to remind me,
I am telling you all this and showing you these things so you can tell the world.
Then he reiterated the importance of all these experiences by saying,
I know that a lot of my children don't think I will come back for them for a long time. Some even think I will never come back for them. But I want you to tell them that my kingdom is ready for those who are ready and waiting for me. I am coming very soon.
The Lord took me to another place outside of heaven. I looked over the crest of the mountain. I could see fumes and dark smoke rising from a deep pit. It was like the crater of a volcano, and inside I could see flames scorching a multitude of people, who were screaming and crying in the kind of agony that only the severely burned truly know. The people were naked, without hair, and standing close to one another, moving like worms, and the flames were scorching their bodies. There was no escape for those who were captured, and the pit's walls were too deep for them to climb, and hot coals of fire were all around the edges. Even though the Lord did not tell me this, I knew I was standing at the brink of hell. It was even more horrible than the description the Bible gives.
The sea gave up the dead who were in it, and death and Hades delivered up the dead who were in them. And they were judged, each one according to his works. Then death and Hades were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death, and anyone not found written in the book of life was cast into the lake of fire.
Throughout the Gospels and the book of Revelation, Jesus was careful to tell us about the horrors of hell. The flames would leap out unexpectedly from all directions. People would move away, and then as soon as they seemed to think that they were safe, another fire would burst forth. There was no rest for these unfortunate victims of sin. They were doomed to spend all eternity being scorched and burned as they endeavored to escape the flames of hell. I asked, "Who are these people?"
My daughter, these people did not know me.
He made this statement with a voice that heaved with grief. I could tell that the Lord was not pleased by the sight in front of us. It bothered him deeply. I knew that he had no control over the destinies of people who deliberately chose to reject him. These were the ones who were writhing in pain and suffering in the pit. I knew two vitally important things that I had to share with others. On one hand, heaven is real. On the other, hell is just as real. I know many people who do not believe in either place, and I knew it would become my mission to show them the reality of the afterlife. The Lord touched my head and took my hand, leading me down a dark tunnel. And we emerged on another rough road that ran very far and into the edge of the pit. This mountain road led through tall trees and huge rocks. When we got to the top, I looked out over a brown and lifeless valley. Everywhere there was brown. The whole region seemed to be filled with dead grass. I noticed multitudes of people who were wearing sand-colored robes roaming aimlessly in the vicinity of the pit's yawning mouth. Their heads were hanging low, and they looked very dejected and hopeless. "Who are these people, Lord?" I asked.
They are disobedient Christians.
"How long will they have to stay in this barren, lifeless place?"
Forever, my daughter. The only ones who will enter my kingdom are the pure of heart, my obedient children.
He went on to explain.
Many who call themselves Christian do not live by my word, and some of them think that going to church once a week is enough. They never read my words, and they pursue worldly things. Some who even know my words never have their heart with me.
The whole plan and purpose of God was beginning to clarify in my thinking. I remembered how Jesus had warned that it is hard to enter his kingdom, and now I had an inkling of what that meant.
My daughter, my word says that it is hard to enter the kingdom of heaven, but so few really believe this and understand its importance. I am revealing this to you so you can warn them.
He explained.
I am coming for my children much sooner than most people expect.
Will all the Christians live in houses like the one that has my name on the door when they get to heaven?
I will bring many of my children to the kingdom, but not every one will live in mansions like this one that had your name on the door. These mansions are for my very special children.
Lord, will all the Christians go with you when you come for us?
I am going to show you something, the Lord answered instantly. I want you to remember all that you see. I want the whole world to know what is going to happen soon. I know many Christians do not believe what my prophets are telling them. That is why I am showing this to you.
The air was filled with white moving objects. As the vision clarified, I saw people wearing white robes flying through the air. People were popping out of the earth everywhere and flying up into the air. The sky was literally filled with flying people, like birds in migration. I had heard the rapture described before, but I had never imagined what an amazing spectacle it would be. I wondered what those who do not know Jesus would think when they observe such a scene. I was shocked and excited, but I'm sure they will be terrified. This was the biggest surprise the Lord had ever shown me. It was the most awe-inspiring thing I'd ever seen human beings flying through the air like birds. They soared upward with rocket-like speed. Some seemed to be soaring like kites in the wind on a clear, beautiful day. I saw my 1-year-old granddaughter. She was wearing a white robe, and her hair had grown to shoulder length. She looked pretty grown up. At first, I saw her at her house in normal clothing. Then, suddenly, she was wearing a white robe and flying through the air. I was dumbfounded by the vision. It certainly seemed to confirm that the Lord would be returning in the very near future. Then I saw my daughter's 10-month-old daughter. She does not have much hair right now, but in the vision her hair was down to her shoulders, and like my other granddaughter, she was flying through the air. I felt the Lord had a good reason for showing the children to me. First, I'm sure He wanted me to know that they will be with God in heaven to enjoy all eternity with Jesus. Second, I knew He wanted me to see how old they would be when He returns. It is sooner than most people think. The joyous vision changed. I saw the people who did not ascend with the others. Places on earth had been disrupted. Some had been turned upside down. It was noisy everywhere, and people were in an obvious state of panic. Terror was written on every face. People were running wildly. Total pandemonium reigned. It seemed as if each person was searching for someone or something that they could not find. I began to cry like a little child as I watched people running down the streets. They were screaming and yelling. Some were trying to throw what few belongings they possessed into vehicles such as cars and boats. Thousands of boats were on the ocean. People were trying to escape. Many men in uniforms were storming houses, ransacking them and taking the belongings they found. I noticed one family of 4 or 5 lying on the floor of a house. Most of them were on their stomach, and a pool of blood covered the floor. Hundreds of people were fleeing on foot to the mountains. As they did, the uniformed guards fired guns at them, and several fell. Those nearest the guards were beaten with clubs and sticks. I saw people destroying churches. A man threw a rock at a beautiful stained glass window that showed Jesus with his lambs. The window shattered and glass flew in all directions. I screamed more loudly. One woman who appeared to be looking for a lost child was running through her house, shouting in panic and fear. She kept calling her child's name as she jumped up and down in total frustration and desperation. I wanted to help her, but there was nothing I could do. I cried and cried for her and for all the others. Then I saw a family I know personally. The father ran into his house and rushed from room to room, calling the names of his wife and children. He found one member of his family, and they sat huddled in a corner of a room. I know who they are, but I am not at liberty to mention their names in this book. The vision eventually vanished, and I continued to cry. The Lord wiped my tears.
"Daughter," he said, "I must show you these things so you can tell the whole world what is going to happen. I love all my children, and I want them to realize I am coming for them soon. But I cannot bring those who don't live according to my word, because they are not ready for me." Many Christians will be surprised when the end times come. What you just saw is only a small part of what will happen very soon. It will be much worse than you can possibly imagine for those who do not know me. That is why I want all my children to be able to come with me to my kingdom. Daughter, I have shown you part of the kingdom and the things that are going to happen in this world, because the time is short. I will return soon. That is why this book is so very important to me. It is for my children. You have seen what is going to happen on earth in the very near future. I am ready for my children, but so many of my children do not really believe, and they are living for worldly things. I love all of them and want to bring all of them to heaven with me, but I cannot take those who are not ready for me. Those who come to my kingdom must be pure-hearted and obedient.
Finally, Jesus coming for us is so near.
My coming for my people is so near. I try to save as many souls as I can, no matter what it takes. Satan knows this, and he is trying to destroy as many souls as he can before they are saved. People should realize why so many people are dying now. Every church must cast out the devil continually by prayer. My churches have been too comfortable. I am very dissatisfied with many of them. I want the whole world to know that I am a fearsome God. I love my children, and that is why I died for them. I must be first in everyone's life. Everyone needs to repent and be humble before me. What happened to New York is a very small price to pay. There will be a great distraction in this world continually until I come for my people. That day is sooner than they expect.